Before we get started, I just wanted to say that there are going to be some spoilers for the Solo movie trailers, so if you're really trying to stay away from any kind of spoilers whatsoever for the Solo movie, then you may not want to watch this video. Also, I guess there's technically spoilers for the Battlefront 2 campaign, so if you're really afraid of Battlefront 2 campaign spoilers, then you may not want to watch this. May is Star Wars month this year as far as I'm concerned. May the 4th is a few days off, a new Star Wars movie is set to release on the 25th, Star Wars gaming sales are currently going on at GOG and the PlayStation Store, and there is a new season of content for Star Wars Battlefront 2. I could probably spend all day talking about these different topics, but let's just focus on the May season of Battlefront 2 and what I would like to see come to the game. In a community transmission by DICE, they stated that seasons will be centered around a specific theme, such as a new film or anniversary. If you want to read the full transmission, I'll link it in the description below. I think it is obviously safe to say that Season 2 will revolve around the release of the Solo movie. But what can we expect to receive as new content? If we look back at Season 1, it began on December 5th and ended around January 12th. Throughout the season, there were multiple challenges to try and accomplish: a new hero and villain, a new map, a new single-player expansion, a new hero starfighter, and a new starfighter assault map. This was a fairly decent expansion to the game, and it was all free. With the details of Season 1 in mind, I think it is safe to assume that we will get similar offerings for Season 2. I doubt that we will be receiving any more single-player content, although I think that there is still potential for bite-sized stories in Battlefront 2. With these things in mind, let's think two different ways for this discussion: logically and the way of the Star Wars fanboy inside of me. Beginning with the logical train of thought, I think that the new hero and villain may just be new appearances and recorded lines of dialogue for Han and Lando, voiced by Alden Ehrenreich, I don't know how to say it, and Donald Glover. It may seem odd for the game to have characters voiced by the actors for these characters, but keep in mind that there are a few stars of Star Wars who actually voiced their characters in the game. John Boyega was a driving force for the game before it even launched, and he even lends his voice for his video game portrayal. But did you know that Daisy Ridley voices Rey, Gwendolyn Christie voices Phasma, Tamara Morrison voices Boba Fett, and Billy D. Williams voices Lando? I don't think it's too big of a stretch for the new actors from the Solo movie to record lines for the video game as a sort of promotion for the movie and for the game. I think the biggest reason that this would be unlikely is because the developers may feel like it is not necessary for there to be multiple actors for the same character, although there are two different voice actors for Kylo Ren for some reason. Maybe there will just be younger appearances for these two characters, but excuse me as I dip into my wishful thinking, but imagine if there's 1 to 2 different young Han and Lando appearances, and when you equip them, the voice lines change to lines recorded by Ehrenreich something and Glover. That would be the coolest thing. If the actors aren't in the game, then I would assume that a new hero and villain will be added. For heroes, I feel that it will be Kira or Beckett, although Lando's droid pal is rumored to have some pretty interesting abilities which may be cool for a game. For villains, I assume that we will either see the crime boss guy with the crazy knife or potentially the cool looking armored pirate. I would personally like to see the pirate because he or she looks awesome, and Kira added to the game because I want to shoot Imperials as the mother of dragons. Emilia Clarke actually voiced lines for Dany in the Game of Thrones Telltale game, so voice acting won't be a new field for her. As for Woody Harrelson, I feel like, and please don't take this as being disrespectful, he won't be a popular character that players would want to see in the game. Let's just be honest, EA and DICE aren't going to go around making trailers for Woody Harrelson being in their game. Emilia Clarke, however, will probably speak louder to most of us nerds as we are more familiar with her work rather than the amazingly talented Woody Harrelson. I mean, I would personally rather see Emilia Clarke if I'm being honest. Come on, she's the mother of dragons for crying out loud. Moving on to maps, I feel like we will either see Kessel or whatever area that is that Han is flying his land speeder around on in the trailers, the desert planet in the trailer, or the snow planet with the train in the trailer. I hope that the desert planet won't be in the game because I'm kind of sick of desert planets being in Battlefront. Maybe we will see the planet where the group of heroes from the movie are defending the Millennium Falcon in the trailer. Either way, I think it's safe to say that a new map will be added. It is hard to pinpoint a specific map since we don't really see any major land battles like we did with Crate from episode 8. As I stated earlier, I would probably bet against there being a single player expansion. I think that single player content is over for Battlefront 2 with the Resurrection expansion, but I would love to see more single player stories in the game. As for Galactic Starfighter, a new map could probably be anywhere. I'm going to dip into my wishful thinking again and say that it would be cool to play in the weird vortex area with the space monsters that is shown in the Solo trailers. A new hero ship could also be anything, since we haven't really seen any notable ships other than the Millennium Falcon and ground vehicles. I think it's safe to assume that we may get a ship appearance by way of the original Millennium Falcon skin. And that concludes my logical train of thought. I think that those are the pieces of content that are most likely to be in the game, but what about what the Star Wars fanboy inside of me wants to see? I will try to tame him a bit, not just start spouting utter nonsense additions like 50 new maps and 100 new characters. I will try to stay somewhat within reason, but I may also cross the line a bit and suggest cool additions that I think will work, but that DICE probably haven't spent the time or resources on creating, which is completely understandable. Let's go through the same order, beginning with a new hero and villain. My fanboy crept out a bit already, but I would love to see the option to play as young Han and Lando. This wouldn't be an option to play as a different character, but would simply be a customization option or two, which have specific lines of dialogue tied to them, which have been recorded by Ironreich and Glover. I think that's how you say that name, I don't know. We know that there are multiple appearances for both characters in the movie, such as the standard look and cold weather gear for Han, and the yellow outfit and big coat thing for Lando. It would be cool to have these two looks to go with the lines of dialogue. Maybe unlocking these appearance options could be tied to some sort of challenge or could eventually be purchased with real money or in-game credits after the season has ended. I would also like to see a new hero and villain be added on top of there being new lines of dialogue and appearances for Han and Lando. For me personally, I would love to see Kira, I know, big surprise there, and the armored pirate person. For Kira, you have to have Emilia Clarke voice her, I mean, come on. There have also been multiple outfits shown for her in the trailer which could be added as unlockable appearances. Her outfit with the red cape looks awesome, and I would personally love to run around with her wearing that ball gown outfit, mainly because all of the appearances in the game look so practical at the moment. I would love to see more impractical outfits which are still canon, such as Farm Boy Luke, the celebration outfits for Luke, Han, and Leia shown at the end of episode 4, or Slave Leia. Next up is maps. I already said that I don't like the sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. It's also in a majority of the maps at the moment, it seems. Although it is totally not sand or snow on Crate, as the exposition trooper from episode 8 was kind enough to sample for us, Crate still feels a bit bleak to me as well. So the sand planet from Solo is out. I think the snow planet is the most likely map to be added, as a majority of the official trailer seems to take place there. A map on this planet could be pretty fun, but what if DICE adds a game mode revolving around the monorail train thing in the trailer? What if this mode has two players playing as Han and Chewbacca, and the remaining players play as the range troopers? The train would move around a map in unpredictable directions, which would add cover for players. Those playing as the range troopers would also have access to special boots, which will allow them to walk on the sides of the train as well. The main objective would be for Han and Chewbacca to steal something from the ship, or whatever happens in the movie, and the troopers have to try and stop them from achieving their goal. Uncharted 3 had a multiplayer map with two trains, which players could run and jump around on. One train would sometimes rise higher above the other train and allow for players to have advantages over each other depending on where they would be positioned. A moving train in a multiplayer game isn't exactly impossible. Having a train which would go from being right side up to sideways to maybe even upside down could make for some pretty intense gunfights as well. This could also get rid of some explosive spam, which would be refreshing. I'm sure this will not be in the game, but imagine how cool this could be. If I can interject right here my single player wish list into the mix of multiplayer additions, that would be great. I think that it would be cool if DICE were to do a similar story expansion akin to Resurrection with a couple hours of content with a new story and new locations. This story could revolve around Han and Lando as they do some kind of mission of some sort, or more likely this could be a prequel to the movie which may just have Han doing something, or maybe taking Han, Lando, Chewbacca, and Kira and throw them into an hour-long mission each. This would set them up for where they are in the movie. And you know me, this would also feature voice acting from all the actors for these characters. These wouldn't even have to be the heavy story missions or anything massive, which I would usually advocate for. Seeing what we got with the base campaign, I think that shorter bite-sized missions would be more likely. I think I can be content with this, but I would like for them to have some substance rather than the shorter missions revolving around the heroes in the base campaign. For Galactic Starfighter, I don't know, I'm kind of lukewarm about it. I'm not a huge fan of the mode, so I would personally like to see the resources used for this mode to either be utilized toward balancing it better or toward creating other content in the game. But if I had to choose something, I would either go with the Vortex space map or for a limited time space mode. I have an idea for what this mode may be. It would have one player using the Millennium Falcon and the remaining players using TIE fighters. This would take place in the crazy vortex area seen from the trailers. The TIE Fighter players would have to catch the Falcon before it can reach a certain checkpoint. There would also be the crazy space eels, which could potentially wreck the ships. There would be as many rounds as there are players, and each round would choose a new pilot for the Falcon. Each player would have to see how long it takes them to get to the ending, or if they were able to make it at all. The one with the fastest time would be the winner of the mode. This would play somewhat similarly to the Rogue One DLC from Battlefront 2015, where players have to fly U-Wings to the surface of Scarif while being chased by players and TIE Fighters. The major difference would be that the flight would be harder to navigate because of the moving obstacles of the space eels, and the Falcon pilot will not have help from anyone else. This mode may sound kind of crazy, but I think it could work and actually be a lot of fun. And that is my wish list for the May season of Battlefront 2. Let me know what you would like to see as well. And thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. And like I said, let me know what you'd like to see for the May season. Are you interested in it? Excited for it? Do you not care? Are there any things you'd like to see changed or anything added? Let me know. Also, make sure to stay subscribed to the channel. I should be posting a lot of Star Wars stuff this month. I'm going to try to at least. Also doing playthroughs of Star Wars The Old Republic over on JAMnBread as well as doing some other games such as Republic Commando over on JAMnBreadGames. So yeah, links to those channels are in the description below. And thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye guys.